Hi everyone, I'm Miranda and welcome to my YouTube channel. Happy Friday. Today my mum Donna has joined me.
Hello.
And we're going to be chatting about books over afternoon tea later today. But first, we're going to bake something delicious so we can enjoy it.
Definitely.
And hopefully give you a bit of baking and book inspiration for the weekend ahead. Now, I also have an announcement to make, but first we're going to just get going with the recipe and then we're going to share our news with you whilst we're getting this together. But so today we're making a blueberry tea cake inspired by a recipe by, I think he's Australian.
He is. He
Bill
is.
Granger.
Yes.
Always enjoy his recipes.
Yeah.
And this one sounds like a lovely summery cake because blueberries are in season.
They are.
And this seems like something tasty and simple to whip up for afternoon tea.
Yeah.
So we've got some fresh blueberries and we've got the crumble topping.
Yes, it's sort of like a streusel topping,
Yes.
isn't it? It's called a coffee cake, and that's very traditional in the States to have a sort of crumbly, streusely topping on it.
Yes,
so it should
exactly.
be delicious. It doesn't actually have coffee. I was very confused about that when I first lived in Canada as a teenager.
Yes, that's
I
true.
thought it would have coffee in the cake.
Yeah. And we've got butter and eggs and sugar, some lemon zest,
Yeah.
and our dry ingredients here.
Yeah.
So I'll put a link to the recipe in the description box if you want to check it out. But what do I do first?
Well, first of all, I've already sieved the flour and the baking powder and the salt, so that bit's done.
Wonderful.
And we've made the topping, so that's fine as well.
Yeah.
So the next thing it says is cream the butter and sugar until pale.
Okay, so let's do that. Pop the butter in.
Yeah, get it nice and soft, I think.
It is nice and
Oh,
soft.
good.
Which
Yeah,
is
it's much easier
Makes a
in summer,
difference
isn't it? Yeah.
In the winter, trying to bake these
Put it near the
cakes.
radiators,
Yeah,
yeah.
practically balancing it on the radiator. But now it is nice and warm, so no problem with the butter. All right, so I'm just going to put the KitchenAid on and cream these together for a few minutes.
Lovely.
Just going to scrape it all down. Getting there, but...
So I am excited, you know, for our new thing.
Yes, so, well, once again, thank you so much to everyone for your lovely messages on my last video and support on my Buy Me a Coffee page. We were both so touched.
We were.
I know you want to say thank you too.
I do. Some people said, oh, for you and your mum. And of course, that's very, very kind. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, and to say thank you, I am bringing back something that hopefully will make you happy, that you will hopefully all enjoy, and that is a book club.
Yes.
So I have been in two minds, as you know, about doing a book club and possibly doing it as part of a membership tier, but I decided, well, we decided that we wanted to do it so that everyone could enjoy it.
Exactly.
So we're bringing a book club back to my YouTube channel, which I'm really thrilled about, and it's going to be a little bit different. I'm hoping it will combine a bit of what I think you will enjoy about tea reads, because we're doing fewer tea reads now that we're thankfully, touch wood, out of lockdown.
Yeah.
And I know that so many of you enjoy the comforting aspect of us baking and chatting about books.
Yeah.
So our new book club is called the Comfort Book Club.
Yes.
And it's a real celebration of that cozy, comforting feeling that you get from reading lovely books and having a slice of cake.
And a cup of tea.
Of course.
Of your choice.
Yes. So in this book club, each month, probably on the last Friday of the month, we'll be sharing a recipe and baking with you. But then we're also going to be talking about a particular comfort read that we both hopefully will love.
Yeah, yeah.
And inviting you to join in, read the comfort read too. I mean, you don't have to, but if you would like to, then that would be lovely. And the first book that I've chosen, I'll be talking a bit more about later for August, is China Court by Rumer Godden, which combines so many things that I love. It's set in Cornwall, it's a nice summary read. It's about how the past is always part of the present. It's about a beautiful old house and the 5 generations of a family who have lived in it. And I certainly find it a comforting read. So
it's wonderful. And I haven't read it, so I'm excited about this one. Because it is one I haven't read.
Yes,
so
and I think you'll really enjoy it.
It's
a great one for book lovers too, because there's a part of the plot that really relies on second-hand rare books. So it just ticks all kinds of boxes. Yes, and I hope that you will enjoy joining in with us. So yes, the book club is back.
Well, I think that's exciting. So once this is I think it's just a little bit longer. Scrape that down.
Yeah. Okay, that looks good.
Yeah.
The colour really does change. It really does go very pale and creamy, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Now it says to fold in the eggs.
Okay. Into this mixture.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're going to put it back in the mixer. So
okay.
Yeah.
Just fold in, well, a bit of an egg at a time. We've already cracked 3 eggs.
Yeah.
There we go.
Lovely. Like a nice summery sort of white sponge.
Something blueberry always just screams summer to me.
I know what you mean.
I always, if we were in the States still, it'd be blueberry pie.
It would be,
That's just such a classic, isn't it?
And blueberry muffins.
Yes.
And I used to remember when you were little, we read Blueberries for Sal so many times. I used to always think of that book this time
loved that picture book. That's true. I know. I really loved that. And yes, it's lovely because there are some ripe blueberries around that we can pick ourselves, which is so much fun to do.
Really lovely. Yeah.
And this just seems like the perfect recipe. So hopefully
it certainly does.
Will turn out well. Okay, so do I just sort of beat this together now?
Then what it says to do next is, once you've got the eggs folded in, gradually add the flour mixture to the egg mixture, alternating with the sour cream and mixing continuously till all the ingredients are combined. So I guess you're just gonna so a bit of this and a bit of the flour, and use that to mix it in. Lovely.
So I'll put some flour first in. I'll just keep going, alternating. And I've got just the last bit of sour cream I'm putting in. Been alternating the dry ingredients and the sour cream, and it's almost all mixed together now. That looks good, doesn't it? It's a lovely luscious batter.
Do you know what I always think with the sour cream, it gives a tender crumb to a cake when you use that.
Oh, do you think so? Yes, I think that's true, actually.
Yeah, it's like buttermilk or something like that. It really does.
It does often work really well. And in British recipes, they don't tend to use sour cream as much, do they?
No.
I think it's a bit more Australian and American to use it
I
more
do
in
like
cakes.
it.
And,
I like
it
very
too. Okay, what do I do next?
Okay, so I would scrape it all down well down and scrape all these bits out so you get all that well mixed, because then we're going to pour it into the tin and blueberries on top with the lemon zest and the streusel mixture.
Super. Yeah, it's always good to
Yeah.
really get
It
to the
always sort of gets
bottom.
around there too, doesn't it? I don't know why.
I know you like the mixer a lot more than the KitchenAid.
Yeah, never mind.
I'm a KitchenAid fan.
Yeah, and you're very good with it. And it actually does it so fast, doesn't it?
It does it very well.
Yeah.
This looks really nice. So just make sure I've got it all incorporated. We haven't baked a cake together for a little while.
We haven't. No, it's not the weather.
It's not been the weather. It's
been
actually
very
been hot here, which has been a pleasant change.
Yeah, I mean, it really has been quite summery, and we're very lucky because last year we didn't really have that.
No, we
It was
didn't.
quite a wet July.
Today it's very windy and there's a bit of a stormy feel. So it's quite a good day today to be baking a cake.
Yeah.
Yes. So we've already greased a cake tin.
Yeah.
We'll pop this in. Looks good, doesn't it?
Look luscious. Very nice.
We had an excitement the other evening because for the first time since I think February 2010 we went out for supper.
That was such a treat.
Yes.
Something
Did I say
like
2010? I meant 2020.
Wasn't that much of a treat.
Quite, no.
But it was so nice because it's either you or me who's been really cooking all the time. It just made a really nice change.
Made a really
felt
nice
both very
change.
much like we were ladies of leisure sitting there.
It was lovely.
It was lovely.
We tried out a local pub.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. It was just nice to be out and to try one of the local restaurants. For a bit more than just tea or cake.
Yes, exactly.
So that was lovely.
Well, this is looking very nice.
It is. So what comes next?
Then you want the blueberries and the lemon zest on top of that.
Okay.
There. It's delicious.
So I think we've added a bit of lemon zest ourselves.
Yes, that was. I love blueberries and lemon zest.
Yes. So
why
I'll just
not?
sprinkle it.
I think put
it in with the blueberries first.
Yeah. And then mix it all up, and then you can just pile it all on. That'd be nice.
I love blueberries.
Oh, me too. It's funny, isn't it? Because they're a summer treat. I mean, I do tend to maybe have a bag in the freezer for the winter, but really, I love them fresh like this.
Yes,
it's such a treat.
It really is. Okay, so I'll just scatter these on the top.
It's a nice, generous.
Smells nice. The lemon zest coming through. I think this will hopefully make a very pretty cake too.
Well, I
with the fruit on top.
Very pretty. Well, I'm sure it'll sink through a bit too.
Well, that's true. It'll look pretty when you cut it then.
It will. It will.
So scatter all of these. And I always like just a very simple afternoon tea style or coffee morning style cake. I think it works really well.
I've got to manage not to sneeze. Sorry about that. I don't know where that came from. It was probably a bit of the lemon zest went up my nose or something.
Oh dear. All right, and then I'll just sprinkle this on top too.
Yeah. Doesn't that look nice?
It looks so good. I'm really excited about this. Perfect for our tea time book discussion.
Lovely, and it's just butter, brown sugar, and a little bit of flour in this. It's
very simple kind of drizzle, crumbly sort of topping.
Yeah,
as you said. Quite a generous amount too. It's always nice.
It is.
I love this kind of topping.
What's nice about this cake is you can have it warm or cold, so it's good to eat on the day.
That's true.
Or you can actually have it.
If you serve it sort of warm, then serve it with cream.
Oh yes, well cold would be nice. Cream as well.
Mum always likes
serving things
with cream.
Yeah, it does add a certain.
Yes. Oh, this looks fantastic.
It does.
Ready to go in the oven. So we're going to let this bake. I think it bakes for about 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we'll see you in time for tea. And we're back. Hello again.
Hello.
So the blueberry cake is out of the oven. We're having it still a bit warm.
Yeah.
So we're having it with cream. And let me see if you can see that. Looks delicious.
Smells good, doesn't it?
And you made a little sort of blueberry sauce.
I did.
How did you do it?
I just put a little bit of sugar and mashed up the blueberries with that, and in the pestle and mortar thing, and then I just put it through the nylon sieve and added a tiny bit of water just to make it runny. So
I can't wait to try.
Let's try.
Yes. The blueberries did sink to the bottom.
They did.
They look quite pretty.
They do. It's very nice.
It is. It's very nice as a sort of pudding.
It is. One thing I think I would do next time is probably put baking paper at the bottom of the tin.
Yes.
I found it really couldn't get it off.
Got it off the base because it would have just fallen apart. So I would definitely do that next time. Not just grease it, but line with greaseproof paper. We've got some white tea today for a change. have. Lovely. I really like white tea, especially in the afternoon.
That's petal tea, isn't it, too? It's got petals in it. It's lovely taste.
It's lovely. Oh, well, that's really nice.
Wow.
Well, we've got a few books we thought we'd share with you this month that we've been enjoying. Of course, I've already mentioned China Court, which I read and really enjoyed a few weeks ago, and I'm excited for it to be our first return to the book club book.
Yes.
Our first book for
And it
the
is
Comfort
available
Book
as a
Club.
paperback too, isn't it?
Yes, this is a vintage copy I have, but you can buy a new paperback edition that's very attractive looking. It's got a really autumnal cover, the new paperback, and I don't know why, because it's not particularly autumnal book, but it still is pretty, and you can buy it, which is great. And yes, I absolutely loved this. Set in Cornwall, in this beautiful old house. And the structure of the book follows the structure of the Book of Hours. You know, the prayer book that monks used to use.
Yes, yes.
And it made me think of the Morville Hours.
Oh, of course.
Which is another book that I absolutely love, a non-fiction book, but it's structured in a similar way. And I wondered if she'd read the Rumour Godden book, and if that had partly inspired her.
Well, she might have, mightn't she? Yes.
Maybe, yes, you never know, because I thought that was really interesting. But the way that books come into this book, I really love too.
Oh, okay. So does she have recommendations throughout it? Or?
No, but rare books come into it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And there's quite a clever sort of twist to the plot.
Oh. I must admit, in my ignorance, I always assumed that was non-fiction, and in fact, it says on it a novel by Lorna Godden. So there we are. But I think it's because I just imagined it was the story of a house, which of course it is, but it's fictional.
But it is fictional, yes. And the China Court refers to actual sort of porcelain china. That's where the wealth of the family who owned this house came from, as they had a china quarry.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. I think it'd be a great book club choice.
Well, I'm excited to get to it. And then the other book that I've really loved lately has been The Swiss Summer by Stella Gibbons. And this completely transported me to Switzerland. I mean, the descriptions of the Swiss countryside, she has written them so lyrically. They're really beautiful. And it's quite a quirky story in many ways. It's about a group of rather ill-assorted women, and then some men join, who happen to end up holidaying together. And some of the characters are very nice, some of them are definitely not so nice, but it has that touch of reality to it, of how you could sort of go off on holiday with strangers and end up not liking all of them very much, but sort of muddling on together. But there's so much in this. You can tell it was written very soon after the Second World War, because there's so much yearning for travel again and for sort of going back to Europe, and of course for good food, and that they all sort of relish all of the luxuries that you could get in Switzerland.
Well, yes.
At that point, and they obviously still can.
Yeah.
We know how good their cakes are still. Yeah. It's so beautiful, but she's also written quite scathingly about the British tourist abroad in this too. It's a real parody of that. And I found that very, very interesting. She's really quite sharp about how many people, how they behaved when they went travelling abroad. And there's a lot of snobism around the different tourists that go travelling, and it was really fascinating as a sort of period piece to read a bit more about these class tensions emerging after World War II.
Yes, I can imagine that as more people travelled.
And more people travelled, and she talks about that in this, and there's some real snobism around that. And it's really interesting. The most snobbish characters are definitely the least likeable.
Yeah.
So yes, there's a lot of sharpness to this, but also mixed with really lyrical descriptions that make me yearn to go back to Switzerland. And it's such a good summer read, and I wanted to share just a little passage from it. As Lucy did not want to go home either, they descended by another path into the larch woods once more, and walked through the shadows out into the sunlight of hillsides, covered in thick, rich grass, filled with the glory of June flowers. Big blue cornflowers, moon daisies, white wind roses, meadowsweet, and the gems bloom with deep amber blossoms, harebells, and the white green tinted mountain clover, whose scent is less sweet yet more haunting than that of its English cousin, and the white and pale violet anemones. And these they picked into 2 bunches, as well as numerous thistles, so large and of such subtle shades of rosy lilac or violet that it seemed insulting to call them mere thistles. And as crowned king of the posies, the tall black and yellow spotted purple gentian.
Well, that is lovely.
Every chapter heading is the name of a Swiss or English wildflower.
Aww.
And there's so much about nature and flowers in this book.
Yes.
I really loved those descriptions.
Oh, it sounds wonderful.
Yeah, you have to read it. You'd really enjoy it.
I would. Yeah.
So these are 2 books I've been loving.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I've also got a bit of an interesting one about the British travelling abroad in some ways, in that this is called The Scent of Rosemary. It's by Lorna Hill, who's much better known for her books for children, you know, the Wells books.
The Sanders Wells ballet series.
Yes. And
this is a bit of a tatty.
It is. It was a lucky find, as it were, because
they're hard to find.
They are hard. And in fact, my understanding is she's only done 2, but on the back of this it says, Lorna Hill has thrilled countless readers with her tales of love and adventure. And I think either I've missed a whole bunch because she wrote under a pseudonym or something, or they were exaggerating or referring to the sort of children's books.
There is a bit of romance.
There is, yes. But she's certainly an accomplished writer, but this feels very strange, this book. It was interesting to read it. It isn't her at her best to me. But it was actually published in I think 1980 in the US. And it's almost like a Mills and Boon Harlequin romance. It's the way she obviously turned to making a bit of money writing some things. But it feels like most of it would have been written way earlier to me.
Oh, yes.
I mean, her heroine is described as very old-fashioned because of her battle axe of her mother and everything. But she's never been on a plane. Now, that seems unusual to me. I mean, my first flight was at about when I was, sort of very young child, but we went to Canada in the 60s a couple of times. So I find it very odd that, they're talking about someone who's never flown at all.
Yeah.
But she's got there's the sort of snobbish behaviour comes through here. And again, it's how terribly the British can be abroad sometimes. You
Oh,
know,
really?
oh
How
yes,
interesting, 'cause
yes.
yeah, that's some of the theme in this one.
Yeah, well, some of them having
Wow.
trouble with the food is obviously another thing.
Yeah.
But also things like, oh, you know, she's the daughter of a priest, you know, of the Church of England priest, and what happens is that in this is she loses her mother and father, they die, and she goes off with her roommates from in London, one of them in particular, who's a lovely friend and everything, but her morals are quite different from this girl who's been tenderly raised, and you feel some of this tension of you know, different classes still, and it really feels very uneasy in a book in the late 70s and 80s.
Yes.
But they go on a package holiday to Alba, and the descriptions of Alba and the herbs and the flowers and the way of life there is very, very good. I did really enjoy it. I mean, with all the things, you know, of it being a lost time and everything, it was still an interesting read, and she's very good on place.
Yes, well,
Lorna
and I
Hill.
would certainly say the same. And Stella Gibbons, it's one of the best books I've read in terms of bringing Switzerland to life.
It's very interesting. Yeah. Well, it made me want to go to Alba, you know, off the coast of Tuscany, as it were.
That would be lovely.
I think it was really interesting. I didn't really know anything about it, so that was good. And then, of course, because you'd read it and raved about it, I just wanted to get to it. I did finish this. Yours Cheerfully by A.J. Pierce.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Highly recommended. Great comfort.
You stayed up late reading it.
I did. I was really naughty. I read till about 2 in the morning to finish it because I just couldn't put it down. And this one is set during the war, of course. And there's a bit in here about making wedding cakes. And I thought it was really interesting to think about in those days how difficult it was during the war, especially when they apparently did forbid sort of putting outside icing. Yes, only chocolate was allowed.
Wow.
But, you know, sort of royal icing or the stiff icing that you would have, that was not allowed. I suspect some people maybe did still do it, but when you think of a traditional wedding
that
cake,
would be very tricky then.
Very difficult. And they said in something else I was reading, and this sort of came to mind, I think they very sensibly, there's a wedding in it, I won't say more, but it's at Christmas time.
Yes.
And so, of course, they have the extra things that they would have been saving.
Yeah, so they make really like a fruit cake, a Christmas cake.
They do.
And are relieved they can pass that off as the wedding cake.
Yes.
I
It
like
did make me think. My mum married twice during the war, actually, because she lost her first husband and then married my dad. But in both cases, I wondered what on earth they did. You know, some people, I think, used cardboard boxes that were decorated by bakers that you could have as the bottom tier and things like that. You know, so interesting.
I wish she was still around. We could ask her.
I wish so too. I'm going to ask your aunt to see if she knows anything. But I can't remember her mentioning the wedding cake. Just the difficulty in getting the material for dressing.
Yes. Also a big issue.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, this has been lovely, and I hope you've enjoyed our book recommendations. And I hope that if you'd like to, you'll join in with reading China Court for the first Comfort Book Club read along.
Yeah, for the end of August.
Yes. And I think that will be lovely. I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait to finish the rest of my cake.
I can't either. So we'll say goodbye. But thanks so much for watching. Do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and have a wonderful weekend. See you again soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.